Ladies and gentlemen, in this life, if you're going to become everything you were created to be, you've got to understand that silence is not weakness. Silence is strength. There's a kind of power that doesn't have to raise its voice. There's a kind of authority that doesn't need to argue. When you really know who you are, when you know what God put inside of you, you don't have to announce every move, defend every decision, or respond to every opinion. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is say nothing at all. We live in a time where everybody wants to be seen, everybody wants to be heard, everybody wants to broadcast every moment. But true power, it doesn't need attention, it demands results. You don't have to shout about what you're working on when your discipline is louder than your words. You don't need to explain your vision when your progress is preaching for you. Silence is not the absence of thought, it's the presence of focus. It's what happens when a person decides, I don't need to prove myself anymore. I know what I'm building. I know what I'm becoming. And so you pull away from the noise, not because you're afraid, but because you're dangerous in your purpose. Because you're so locked in, so committed, so determined to grow, that you don't have time to respond to the chatter. You're too busy evolving. See, when a lion walks through the jungle, it doesn't roar to prove it's a lion. It doesn't chase every animal that makes noise. It walks with a quiet confidence, knowing it's already king. That's how you've got to walk, not trying to convince anybody of anything, but standing firm in who you are and what you carry. There are things in your life that will only come to pass when you stop broadcasting and start building. There are battles you'll only win when you stop fighting in public and start surrendering in private. Silence gives you clarity. Silence gives you strength. Silence gives God room to speak and move in ways you've never seen before. Don't let the pressure of being seen rob you of the power of being still. You don't need to tell everyone your goals. You don't need to explain your process. You don't need to shout your next move. Keep quiet. Let them wonder. Let them doubt. Let them gossip. Because when God is finished with you, they won't be able to deny what's on your life. You won't have to say a word. Your fruit will speak for itself. Silence, when you're aligned with purpose, is not emptiness. It is full. It is rich. It is focused. And when you learn to master that kind of silence, you become unstoppable. You see, we live in a generation that celebrates the finished product, but very few honor the process. People love to clap when the spotlight comes on, when the doors open, when the breakthrough hits. But what they don't understand is that everything great, every strong foundation, every powerful testimony, every real anointing is built in the dark. It's in the secret place, the quiet place where nobody sees, that God does his deepest work. Private work produces public results. You can't skip the private grind and expect the public glory. You can't ignore the quiet preparation and expect the world to be ready for your arrival. What you do behind closed doors, how you pray, how you practice, how you push, how you persevere when no one's watching, that's what sets the stage for the kind of success that lasts. Let them underestimate you. Let them think you're not doing anything. That's fine, because what they don't see is you up late at night, wrestling with purpose. What they don't hear is your whispered prayers when your back is against the wall. What they don't feel is the weight you carry, the discipline, the sacrifice, the consistency. You're not just preparing, you're becoming. The world is obsessed with visibility, but God is obsessed with development. You may feel overlooked, but you're actually being planted. And when you're planted, you don't scream, you don't shine, you don't show off. you dig deep. You establish roots, you grow silently, you get stronger in the unseen places, because when your roots are deep, your fruit will last. Don't be discouraged because they haven't recognized you yet. Don't be bitter because you haven't been applauded. That silence, that obscurity, that hidden place, it's not a punishment, it's a preparation. It's where your character is forged. It's where your faith is tested. It's where your integrity is shaped. Because God won't give you a stage your soul isn't ready to stand on. You've got to trust the power of private work. The long hours, the unseen grind, the times you wanted to quit but kept going, it's all stacking up. Every rep, every tear, every act of obedience is laying a foundation that can't be shaken when the spotlight comes. So, while others are chasing fame, you chase faithfulness. While they're chasing crowds, you chase consistency. While they're talking loud, you stay rooted. And when the time is right, when the preparation has done its job, the door will open, and you won't have to force it. You won't have to fake it. You'll be ready, because what you built in private will be revealed in power. And nobody can take from you what was built in the dark with God. Keep building, keep working. Even if nobody sees you now, heaven sees you. And that's enough. You don't need to be liked to be chosen. You don't need to be approved to be anointed. And you don't need validation to walk in purpose. One of the greatest deliverances you'll ever experience is the moment you stop needing people to agree with what God told you in private. Because when He placed the vision in your spirit, He didn't run a committee. He didn't ask for their opinion. He trusted you with it. We are living in a time when everybody wants a like, a share, a follow, a clap. But let me tell you something, when you really know who you are, when you really know who sent you, when you really believe in what you're carrying, you stop chasing validation. Because the truth is, people can't validate what they didn't give you. They can't confirm what they don't understand. They're not supposed to get it. It wasn't assigned to them. It was assigned to you. The problem is, too many people delay their destiny waiting for applause. Waiting for someone to say, "You're doing great." Waiting for the room to recognize them. But some of the greatest moves you'll ever make will happen when no one claps for you, when no one cheers you on, and you do it anyway. That's when heaven looks down and says, "Now that's faith." You don't need a platform to be powerful. You don't need a title to have influence. You don't need a crowd to carry oil. Stop explaining your steps to people who aren't on your journey. Stop asking directions from people who have never been where you're going. The path God has for you is not always popular, but it's always purposeful. And sometimes He'll keep you hidden, not to punish you, but to protect what He's building in you from opinions that could poison your process. Learn to affirm yourself in silence. Learn to encourage yourself in the dark. Learn to clap for yourself when no one else does. Because when you walk by faith and not by sight, when you trust what's inside you more than the noise around you, you become dangerous. You become focused. You become unstoppable. You are not here to perform for people. You are here to fulfill purpose. If they clap, great. If they don't, keep moving. If they support you, thank God. If they walk away, let them. Because your calling was never tied to their compliments. Your identity is not rooted in their recognition. Break free from needing validation, because when you stop asking for permission to be great, That's when you start becoming who you were born to be. You weren't created to fit in, you were chosen to stand out. And sometimes standing out means walking alone. But don't be afraid, you're not walking alone, you're walking with purpose, and purpose is louder than praise. Keep going, keep building, with or without the crowd, you've already been called. You cannot conquer your calling if you're constantly distracted by comparisons. You cannot walk in your assignment if you're always watching someone else's path. If the enemy can't destroy you, he'll try to distract you. And the most subtle distraction is not failure, it's comparison. Looking at what they're doing, what they're posting, how fast they're growing, how far they've gone. But let me remind you, their lane is not your lane. Their story is not your story. And their pace has nothing to do with your purpose. You've got to stay focused. Focused on what God gave you. Focused on your own garden. Focused on your assignment. Because every time you look over the fence, you take your eyes off your field. Every time you compare, you contaminate your confidence. And every moment spent watching them is a moment stolen from building what's inside you. Focus is not just about discipline, it's about devotion. It's about being so committed to your mission that you can't be pulled away by distractions, detours, or doubt. You don't have time to wonder what they think. You don't have time to scroll for validation. You don't have time to measure your worth by someone else's highlight reel. You've got work to do, souls to touch, a future to build. Let them go fast, let them shine early, let them post their wins. But don't let it move you, because just because it looks like they're ahead doesn't mean they're aligned. Just because they're loud doesn't mean they're lasting. God has a unique pace for your life. And when you trust His timing, you won't feel threatened by anybody else's journey. Stay focused. Focused when it's quiet. Focused when it's slow. Focused when no one notices. Because every brick you lay now is a foundation for what's coming later. Every prayer, every hour of work, every act of faith, it's all part of something greater. You don't need to run their race. You just need to be faithful in yours. You can't let comparison cost you your peace. You can't let envy distract you from excellence. You can't let someone else's moment cause you to doubt your own progress. What God has for you is for you, and it's still on schedule. But it requires focus, not halfway focus, not when it's easy focus. I'm talking about laser focus. Purpose-driven focus. I'm not checking the crowd, I'm building the kingdom kind of focus. There is power in a made-up mind. There is victory in a focused heart. And when you decide that nothing will pull you off course, not people, not pressure, not pride, you become dangerous to the darkness. Because a focused person cannot be stopped. Stay in your lane, run your race, and keep your eyes on your own harvest. The promise is still coming, but it's only for those who refuse to be distracted. There comes a moment in your life when you realize you don't need to announce your greatness. You just need to walk in it. You don't need to argue for your value, prove your worth, or beg to be seen. You just need to show up in silence and let your results do the talking. Because when the fruit is ripe, it doesn't need a microphone. It just shows up sweet, full, undeniable. Let your results speak, not your opinions, not your emotions, not your insecurity. Let your work testify. Let your discipline talk. Let your grind declare what words cannot say. You can try to convince people all day long, but the truth is, results shut down arguments. They silence doubt, they end debates. Because when you've been consistent, when you've been faithful, when you've been sowing in secret and building in the background, your breakthrough won't need an introduction, it will announce itself. We waste so much energy trying to explain our vision to people who don't even have the capacity to see it. But vision isn't validated by discussion, it's confirmed by results. The ones who didn't believe in you will have to sit and watch what God does through you. The same ones who questioned your choices will be quiet when the harvest comes, not because you talked louder, but because your life started speaking for itself. Some people won't listen to your voice, but they will respect your results. That business you started, that healing you walked through, that peace you fought for, that transformation they thought you'd never have, that's your evidence. That's your answer. You don't need to clap back. You don't need to broadcast your next move. Just keep moving in silence and let the work speak. You see, real power doesn't beg for attention. Real power doesn't need to yell. When something is authentic, it stands out without trying. It shines without noise. It doesn't have to tell you what it simply is. And when you operate like that, when you let your consistency speak, when you let your growth speak, when you let your elevation speak, even your enemies won't be able to deny what's happening in your life. This is your season to say less and do more. You don't have to post everything. You don't have to explain yourself. You don't have to respond to every doubt. Keep showing up, keep grinding, keep praying, keep building. Because eventually, the weight of your results will drown out the voice of every critic. The proof will be so loud that silence becomes your loudest statement. So walk in confidence, move in purpose, and understand you don't have to shout to be heard. When it's real, when it's God, when it's built right, it speaks for itself. There is something sacred about being hidden, something holy about being unseen, because just because the spotlight isn't on you doesn't mean God has forgotten you. Just because the door hasn't opened yet doesn't mean the promise isn't real. You've got to understand, the delay is not denial. The waiting season is not wasted. Sometimes God hides you because He's protecting you. Sometimes He keeps you in the background because He's preparing you. And when the time is right, nothing and no one will be able to stop what He's about to release through you. You must trust the timing, not your timing, not their timing, but God's timing. Because if it comes too early, you won't be ready. If the platform shows up before the preparation, it will crush you instead of carry you. That's why the process takes time. He's not just working on the promise. He's working on you, molding you, shaping you, strengthening your character, building your endurance, teaching you how to stand in silence, how to survive the hidden seasons, how to walk by faith when nothing makes sense. And it's in those quiet places, in those in-between moments, where God does His best work. The wilderness is not punishment, it's preparation. The silence is not absence, it's alignment. The closed door is not rejection, it's redirection. You've been looking for a stage, but God is building a foundation. You've been asking for visibility, but He's developing vision. He's getting you ready for what you prayed for, and the delay is His mercy. You see, when you trust His timing, you stop panicking. You stop comparing. You stop rushing. You stop trying to make things happen by your own hand. Because when it's God's timing, you don't have to force it. You don't have to manipulate it. You don't have to beg anyone to believe in it. It will come to you, the right door, the right opportunity, the right people, the right moment. It will find you when you're prepared to carry it. You are not forgotten. You are not behind. You are not overlooked. You are being cultivated, And though nobody else can see it right now, heaven sees you. Though you feel buried, you're really being planted. And when the time is right, you'll break through the surface and bloom, not because you pushed, but because you were patient. Because you trusted that what God started, He will finish, not on your schedule, but on His, so hold on. Don't rush the season, don't despise the process, don't give up just because it hasn't happened yet. He's still working, He's still moving, He's still aligning things behind the scenes, and when the time is right, suddenly, everything will shift. And the world will see what heaven already knew. You were always chosen. You were just waiting for the right moment to rise.